welcome to the Monday, October 29th, 2012 meeting of the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners. We have a full forum this morning. Before we start, I'd like to thank the other members of the board and staff for their indulgence in the past week. I was able to spend some very valuable time with my grandchildren and the time that they needed, so I appreciate your indulgence. Thank you. And we will begin this morning with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of October 22nd, 2012. Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of October 22nd. Is there any comment, question, additions, deletions? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. We have public comment from Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Commissioner Bob Johnson, for the record, current Community Development Director. I just wanted to take an opportunity, since this is my last board meeting as a Community Development Director for Lewis County, to thank not only the county commissioners, my fellow directors, and the staff, and the folks here at Lewis County government, but the folks at home that might be watching as well, for the opportunity, the privilege that has been mine to work for Lewis County. I came to Lewis County in 1999 with a considerable amount of fear and trepidation, having heard all the horror stories of what goes on in Lewis County, and I found those to be totally unfounded. This community is a wonderful community. There are great people here. I've had the privilege of working for 9 different board members, county commissioners. Each of them have their own unique qualities. I will say that the current board is the finest board that I've had the privilege to work for. These 3 members are dedicated to Lewis County. I appreciate all the support that they've given to me. I've seen a lot of changes in the county in the going on 14 years that I've worked here. When I started, we were in the midst of the GMA hell. We've seen ourselves transition out of GMA hell into compliance with the Growth Management Act. We've got some great development regulations. Unfortunately, we had a recession that kind of put a stymie on what I thought, and I think the board thought would be some better economic times here. But I've received lots of support in trying to bring economic development here to the county. We have seen carbon glass come in. We've seen a number of other large projects that have been completed. We have the ammunition factory up at Packard that came in. We have our critical areas ordinance adopted without too much fanfare. We're working on our shoreline master program right now. And I anticipate that that'll be done in an efficient manner, and that the folks from Lewis County will have an opportunity to address those issues, and we'll get that done as well. But I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. I've had a great 14 years here. I've had a number of careers, but this has been the most satisfying by far. I've appreciated all the help, all the support, and I've loved every day that I've worked here. I just want to say thanks to everybody.
Thank you. Your work has been appreciated too. I remember when I first met Bob Johnson 6+ years ago, and I'm sure he was wondering where the heck I was coming from. But we, over the last 6+ years, developed a very good working relationship. And we talked first about GMA and agricultural resource lands. And I think when we took office way back then, there was a lot of concern from staff whether micromanagement would be our key. I think staff has recognized that we are not very good micromanagers. That when we try to do that, it usually blows up in our faces, and we don't usually try to do it because of that. We do, however, have a hands-on type of management where we want to know what's going on and why what's happening is happening. And And that's very important to us as a board. And our staff recognizes that, and we appreciate that part of it. But thank you very much, Bob, for your comments. Any other comments from the board?
Well, I was just going to suggest that Bob might want to take the Toastmasters class so you can figure out how to keep your comments within 3 minutes.
Just one more thing.
I say that in jest. I've worked with Bob through most of his career with the county because I was involved in growth management assistance with a couple of advisory committees before I became county commissioner. And he truly has been a guiding light in this area, not only within Lewis County, but within the state and the Association of County Managers. And he's well respected, has helped us in numerous occasions testifying on issues of growth management before the legislature. And Bob, we do appreciate your work very much, and I want to thank you very much for your professional service.
Thank you.
Are you still going to be in the Shales Rotary?
Maybe down in Surprise or something.
Well, if I think I have next time.
Well, if you go down to Surprise, Dave Cooper attends that meeting down there. He'd be glad to introduce you.
Thank you.
We have one proclamation this morning.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the proclamation.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. Commissioner Avery, would you please read that into the record?
Please do. Before the Board of County Commissioners of Lewis County, Washington, a proclamation, Human Response Network Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas family is the foundation of a safe and healthy community, it is the goal of this community for our families to be safe. And whereas the problem of domestic violence is not confined to any group of people, but crosses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and societal barriers, and is sustained by indifference. And whereas domestic violence is an immense problem in our community, where in 2011, 672 households received services from Human Response Network's domestic violence programs. And whereas victims and survivors of domestic violence should have support in their community to find the compassion, comfort, and healing they need, and domestic violence abusers should be punished to the full extent of the law. And whereas only a coordinated community effort will put a stop to this heinous crime, and whereas Lewis County, along with the Human Response Network, urges community members to take this opportunity to educate themselves about the impact of domestic violence in Lewis County and become familiar with resources and programs available. This month, let us remember the victims of domestic violence, celebrate the survivors, and work together to end domestic violence in Lewis County. Now, therefore, we, Lewis County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, done in this open session, the 29th day of October 2012.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a comment on the UNESCO show this morning. We were ridiculed for doing this particular proclamation because it is the 29th of October, and this is the month of October. I had the proclamation was read in the Centralia City Council just last week, and hearing that, I asked our clerk to contact the Human Responses Network because I believe strongly in what Human Responses Network is doing, and particularly in the domestic violence program. I think that it is important that the county participate and applaud the work of the Domestic Response Network. I'm sorry that it's late in the month, but it's not the month that I'm concerned with. It's the program that you're running, and that's why I wanted to have this come off. I'm sorry it was ridiculed. I would like one of you, or both,
My name is Heather Wilson. I'm a domestic violence advocate advocate for the Human Response Network, and I apologize for you being ridiculed. You're right, it is not the day that means anything. It's the fact that you are proclaiming October Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And on behalf of the Human Response Network, I would like to thank each and every one of you for recognizing how important this is to our community, and thank you for your cooperation and support.
Thank you.
Very much.
Any comments on the proclamation? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda, items 2 through 10, resolution number 12-328 through 12-336.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the items in the record?
Item 2, resolution number 12-328, approval of warrants for payment. Item 3, resolution number 12-329, cancellation of warrants. Item 4, resolution number 12-330, approving an interlocal agreement with the City of Centralia for computer and software maintenance services. Item 5, resolution number 12-331, approving a grant agreement with the Onalaska Alliance to accept funding under RCW 82.143.370 Distressed Counties Fund. Item 6, resolution number 12-332, authorizing legal defense and indemnity for Lewis County employees. Item 7, resolution number 12-333, approving a personal service agreement with Robert Widener. Item 8, resolution number 12-334, request for an engineer's report for the proposed vacation at Johnson Creek Road East. Item 9, resolution number 12-335, ratified contract change order for Newalkum Bridge Replacement Project. Item 10, resolution number 12-336, approving the 5th supplemental agreement with West Consultants.
Thank you.
Item 2, resolution 12-328, approves 246 warrants issued by the auditor's office totaling $1,610,641.75. Item 3, resolution 12-329, approves the cancellation of 2 warrants issued by the auditor's office for $420 that were lost or destroyed, and 2 warrants for $780 that were issued in the wrong amount. Further, this resolution approves the reissue of the corrected warrants. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Michael Strosik, Director of Central Services. I'll be speaking item number 4, resolution number 12-330 on your consent agenda. But before I do that, I'd like to echo the board's comments reference Bob Johnson. He's been a tremendous asset to the team of directors in here. Many years ago, it seems like I became a director and I knew a little bit about land use, probably very little. And after spending several hours with Bob, and I will never admit it was in a golf cart, I have actually kind of got a handle on land use and what the terminology and stuff is. So for that, it's been greatly appreciated. And Bob will be missed, especially when you come to the payoff section after golf. It was, I'm not going to say Bob was an easy target for a few of us to play with, but we enjoyed having him on the other team.
I hope that land use stuff was relevant to the county's land use and not the golf course land use, because Commissioner Averill has a different view of golf courses than some of them.
Yeah, well, when you play with Bob, and I'm just as guilty of this, you do cover a lot of land out on the golf course.
This does need an explanation. For those of you who don't know, I do have horses. And I think that the golf course is a terrible waste of a good horse pasture.
With all due respect, we're all entitled to our opinion, sir. Item number 4 is resolution 12-330, which is a renewal of an interlocal agreement with the City of Centralia for IT computer services and maintenance support. This is specific to the Spillman software that is owned and operated by the 911 center upstairs. Spillman is the records management system for all 10 law enforcement entities in Lewis County and most of the fire departments. In addition to that, it is the computer-aided dispatch center where the officers have laptops in their patrol cars. We own the software, and due to security reasons with the Washington State Patrol, we do not allow access outside of our internal system to work on this system. Therefore, these agreements are critical in order to maintain that software in working order and allow the officers in the car to have this software available to them. So this interlocal agreement, and there will be several of them coming forth to you from the various entities over the next couple of months as they stream in, is for 2 years. It expires December 31st of 2014, and it is for a fixed amount with the city of Centralia in the amount of $38,940 per year for 2013. That cost is based upon the amount of equipment that they have. We will review it towards the end of 2013 to see what 2014 will bring.
So I understand you're doing a flat amount.
Yeah, we actually have 2 ways we do the billing on this. For the very small entities, we have a contract that has a $110 annual maintenance fee that includes 2 hours of service. The smaller entities pay $55 an hour for service as needed with a 2-hour minimum for the calendar year. The City of Centralia, the City of Chehalis, Riverside Fire Authority, and Fire District 6, I believe, and possibly Fire District 5, they're still reviewing theirs, will pay a flat fee because of the amount of equipment that they're putting online.
So, but the fee agreed initially was just for 1 year, and then you're going to look at it during the second year contract.
Correct. The $38,940 is a fee for 2013 only.
And I would point out that the city of Centralia has already approved this contract at their city council meeting last week.
Correct.
Item number 5 is a resolution involving the Alaska Alliance. This board has made it a point to try to help the smaller communities in any way that we can. And the Distress Counties Fund is a fund that has been used in different cases to improve the local communities within the county. We've done some things in PL, and Morton, in Packwood, and Randall, and Vader. Virtually every small town and city in the county has benefited from some form or another of use of this funding. In this case, the Alaska Alliance, a nonprofit group in Alaska, has wanted to provide a paid parking lot at the Carlisle Lake. This process has been going for about 2 years, and I know of, probably longer than that. And they came to the county and requested that potentially could they get some funding to pave the parking lot at Carlisle Lake as a economic driver for that community. And they were encouraged to request funding through the 0.09% fund that has been created for economic development. And that application was sent through the 0.09 committee, and they approved the application, and this is the formalization of that funding agreement with the Alaska Alliance.
Good morning, Commissioners. Paula Young, the Risk and Safety Administrator. I'm speaking to item number 6, Resolution 12-332, authorizing legal defense and indemnification for Lewis County employees. Lewis County Community Development employee Eileen Stewart and Lewis County Human Resources Administrator Archie Smith have both been named in a legal action filed against Lewis County and themselves in Superior Court. Eileen and Archie have both requested defense and indemnification pursuant to Resolution 03-042 and 04-164. Under these resolutions, Michael and Alexander, PLLC, will be requested to provide legal defense for both Mr. Smith and Ms. Stewart.
The firm is actually hired by the risk pool.
Yes, the firm was hired by the risk pool, so.
Okay. I think that this does deserve some explanation for those that are not familiar with the system. But employees of the county obviously can be sued, and those suits can be quite expensive. And when done in the course of their duties, the county has the right and I believe the obligation to assist the employees. And so there is a procedure whereby they can request indemnification and defense support, which both these staff members have done. And we are hereby granting that so that they can be supported in this lawsuit. This doesn't absolve them if they've done something wrong in the course of this. That's not covered by what we're doing, but in the course of their duties, we are covered.
Correct.
Rod Lakey, Lewis County Public Works, speaking to resolution number 12-333. This is an approval or renewal of personal services between Lewis County and Robert Wiedner. Public Works is requesting the BOCC authorize this renewal and act for Robert Wiedner to act on behalf of Lewis County and Washington, D.C. for public land, environmental, and natural resources in conjunction with secure rural schools funding. The annual dues are $7,500. These dues will allow Mr. Wiedner to monitor and provide information on matters affecting public lands within member counties.
I think this is an important one. Mr. Wiedner is a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. And he has, for the entire time I've been here, and I think prior to Lee and I coming on board, the county commission has provided services to the timber counties in Washington State, and I believe in Oregon too, yes. And essentially, as the spotted owl caused the Forest Service to essentially close down virtually all of their harvesting of timber. The proceeds of which used to come to the counties to help defray part of the cost that we had in servicing forest areas. We then went back and asked for some relief, and it is through the timber counties and the use of Bob Wiedner that we got that relief in the Secure Rural Schools program, from which we benefited over the years. We've actually, for the past 5 years, had to go each year to get this renewed. And Bob has been essential in putting that program together. And I'm glad to say up to this point we've been successful. So I think we get good value out of Bob's service back in Washington, D.C. And at a fairly reasonable cost, since our share is only $7,500. The remainder of his salary is being paid by the other counties that are members of the coalition.
And one might ask why this comes from Public Works. Our road department receives next year we'll receive about $1.2 million from the Secure Schools money. So the $7,500 that we're paying Mr. Whitehead is put to good use. And he doesn't just lobby for us or talk to us about forest dollars either. It's any other subject that's on a federal level where he's got people that he knows in D.C. that we do not know. And we can go to him and use him as a resource to set up meetings for us back there or to talk to people back there. So he really is a valuable resource, and that does a really good job for the county. Appreciate it. Thank you, Rod.
Larry Osmond, Real Estate Services Manager, speaking to item number 8, Resolution 12-334, regarding the proposed vacation of Johnson Creek Road East, number 995. Johnson Creek Road East lies east of Johnson Creek Road and west of Highway 12, just west of Packwood. One property owner owns on both sides of the road for its entire length. This property owner has requested that the county vacate all of Johnson Creek Road East. Any and all interests other than the requesting parties would be evaluated as part of the engineer's report. Passing this resolution would instruct the county engineer to examine the road, evaluate the request, and file an engineer's report with this board as required by RCW 368710 and Lewis County Code 12.15. A copy of the request from the property owner has been submitted to the board.
This is just, we had one of these just about a week or 2 weeks ago, a request for an engineer's report. And just remind that this is merely a request for his report. It is not at this point a vacation. If the county engineer, going through the stipulations set down by law, determines that the vacation is warranted, then we would have a request for the vacation come back to the board.
This road used to be a state highway. State Highway 5, as a matter of fact. And when we had I-5 come through, it was no longer allowed to use the 5 moniker, and it became county road.
I'd like to recommend for resolution 12-335. This is ratification of a contract change order. Pursuant to resolution 11-437, directors from each department have the authority to approve contracts, projects, agreements, and change orders in excess of $40,000 but less than $150,000. During 2012, Public Works executed an individual change order in excess of the $40,000 on the Walker Bridge replacement project with WSDOT local programs review and approval prior to the execution. This ratification is requested for the following federally funded projects, and just give you a project. Walker Bridge replacement, CRP number 2072. The original contract was Boglands Incorporated. Their original bid was $2,153,027.65. We've had 9 change orders for this very lengthy project. Those total $262,428.35. And then this will be change order number 10. This is following a post memorandum of agreement with the Department of Archaeological and Historic Preservation out on the Walker Bridge project site that has been settled. We've signed this memorandum, and the contractor is in the process right now, actually, of completing the work, which was guardrail landing conditions, driveway approaches that was originally planned, and other work according to our 2010 spec, because that's when the project was bid. Change order number 10 was executed on October 2nd, 2012 for $91,168 even, and we expect the contract to be completed at the end of this week.
This is really a disconcerting issue. One of the reasons that we had to do this was that during the course of constructing the bridge, the contractor used a field to park trucks on. And in that field, although the field had been plowed for the last 60 years, during the course of the construction, there was an object found that was believed to be an archaeological piece of property. And we subsequently got into a dispute over both the state and the federal archaeological support boards, which essentially meant we could not complete the project. We had the bridge done, but this lady's home and the driveway into her property and her husband's property have been sitting for the last 30 months while we've been in an argument with the folks about what our responsibilities were and whether we had seriously violated the rules. At one point, we were threatened with losing federal highway funds in this project. It was only by the intercession of Jamie Herrera Butler that we finally got folks sitting down and talking, and we were able to resolve this issue. And now that it is resolved and we're trying to finish up the project, it was, again, we did nothing for 30 months while we were in the argument. The contractor essentially closed down, and it was necessary to bring them back up so they could finish the project. And that's why the change order was done, because it was not in the original contract.
Ron, where does this put us on this total project as far as cost? If I remember right, this project was just slightly below estimate when we did it.
The original authorization for construction was quite a bit higher than what our there's still plenty of room as far as, this is crack funded and 80/20, so our 20% is still covered. This portion of the work is still covered by the crack funding.
Anybody who's traveled Jackson Highway since this bridge has gone in will appreciate the fact that the old bridge is gone and the new one's in there.
Rod, I appreciate Public Works' perseverance on this. This was a difficult process with unreasonable state agencies. And we also appreciate the patience and cooperation from the landowner. The driveways, landscaping, and impact to their property, their front yard had been significant. And they weren't happy, but they understood the position, and they did cooperate, and they did show patience and understanding. And we appreciate that from them too. They had a substandard driveway going out on Highway 6 for 30 months. We couldn't fix it. So thank you, and I appreciate the landowner also.
Bob Johnson, Director of Community Development, speaking to item number 10, Resolution 12-336.
Is this just one more thing?
This is the last one.
We thought you were done.
I can dispense with this if you'd like to just read it into the record and have it. This is approval of a fifth supplemental to a personal services agreement between West Consultants and Lewis County, who acts as a fiscal agent for the Chehalis River Basin Flood Authority, and also authorization for the Director of Community Development to sign a contract on behalf of the county. As the title suggests, this is in fact the fifth supplement of the original agreement to develop and implement a flood hazard warning system for the Chehalis River Basin. Last week, you approved a contract for $10,000 to update some inundation maps that are on the webpage, the One Rain website for the early warning system. This is to provide for maintenance and operation of the gauges that have been put in, as well as the subscription fees for the One Rain webpage, including $1,500 to make that accessible to the general public without using a password or login. This contract is for $30,198. It will end on December 31st of this year. And the Flood Authority had discussed earlier a contract for considerably more money. That was an 18-month contract that would have run through the end of 2013. But because there are issues and concerns with respect to the funding for this operation and maintenance of the gauge system and subscription fees, the Flood Authority authorized contract with West through the end of this year so they could get started on the maintenance and operation of the gauges at a minimal level and get the subscription services paid and get that password issue resolved. This will be looked at again by the Flood Authority, and once a decision is made with respect to the funding for the operation and maintenance, then the contract will be amended. I think it's important to note that this contract is paid for from funds from the individual Flood Authority members. It cannot be paid out of the capital budget that supports most of the other work of the Flood Authority because it's not building anything and as such cannot be funded from those capital funds. So the Flood Authority has in fact agreed to pay for this operation and maintenance themselves, but there is a slight issue with respect to the funding right now that will be addressed at the next Flood Authority meeting next Thursday, I believe.
This Thursday. I don't know whether it'll be addressed at this one or whether it'll be addressed during the meeting in November. I do, this is rather important for us to get done at this time because we've already started into the rainy season. And we've been sitting at 2 weeks ago wondering whether we're going to let the burn ban, and we've almost had persistent rain since then. And chances are that we'll have more than we use. It was fine while the water or the land was fairly dry, but as it becomes saturated and the river starts to rise, it is a problem for us. And so having all of the equipment on the river were appropriately maintained prior to the start of the storm season is absolutely essential. And Lewis County, acting as the fiscal agent for the flood authority, has done this partial contract with West Consultants, so that we will have the system up operational and check to make sure that it works at this time. Then we'll close off with the remainder of the contract when we have all of the issues resolved. I am happy to say that it appears that we've broken the impasse with Aberdeen. There was a discussion held late last week with the attorneys for Aberdeen, and I'm confident at this point that they will pay their share, albeit they have made a point that we knew at the time might come up, that this requires a new interlocal agreement for the future, and they are suggesting that any payment past 2013 will require a new interlocal agreement. We're currently looking at that, and we'll have that discussion in the flood authority.
Are there any other comments on the consent agenda?